Going forward, it'll be 2, that'll be the 100 for sure. What a magnificent effort by Greg Blewett.
Make that 100. Sensational century from James Brayshaw.
And that's it. That's a great shot. Up go the arms of Matthew Hayden. That is the world record.
Hey everybody, welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket. It's a bit of a gap year, this one. We've got the test match finished. We've got BBL Finals coming up. So we're just going to have a bit of a rambling discussion on a few things today, including the gap between the best and the worst in the BBL. Also going to talk about spin bowling and its future, because I know some people very high up in the game are concerned about it, and I am as well. Also going to get to the radar, and there's some I'm getting a bit technical today. That's what I'm doing, but that's coming up later. Hello to you, freshly haircutted Blewy.
Yes, look at him go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, fresh lid for the new year. Thank you very much. Went to the tennis last night, actually, the Adelaide International. So some courtside tickets there were very, very nice. So
who'd you see? Anyone we know?
No, they're all sort of European names. There was an Aussie girl, so it was quarterfinals last night. I can't remember her name, Hale or something like that, Maya Hale. So she got pants though. She got smacked off the court, but it was good though. Good night out.
Well, we always get invited by the lovely people at Piper Heidsick to go to the Australian Open, and the 2 dates they've given us, we can't attend. And my wife, Big Doss, is savage on me. Savage.
Right.
She's not impressed with the fact that we're not going to the tennis. I said, babe, we can't be in 2 places at the one time.
No, it's a good night out though, isn't it? I've been to the Aussie Open a couple of times. It's a bloody great night out.
My wife Kelly's very dirty on me for never being able to go to the Christmas carols.
Oh, that's not
down in Melbourne.
News.
Yeah. Well, she's always wanted to go.
Really?
Well, there's so much going on around a Boxing Day test match. The last thing I want to be doing is dragging myself to the carols, as much as it'll be a good occasion for the kids. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, that didn't happen. So there's a bit of a sour note there with that one.
Oh, I'm headbutting a metal spike before I turn up to the Christmas carols. I've got to put my hand up, Doss.
Yeah, right. Well, she loves you, Jade. She loves you, JB. So it might be good defence for me, actually. Throw you under the bus.
Your wife is a star. Now, BBL, we're getting to the sharp end of it, Bluey, and it's looking scarily like the Perth Scorchers again for a 6th time. I mean, it's just ridiculous how they find themselves at the right time of this tournament at the sharp end.
Geez, their batting is powerhouse. It really is. So, a couple guys miss out on the night and they've got some backup straight away. So, yeah, they play the Melbourne Stars in their last home game at Optus Stadium. So whoever wins that will leapfrog the Hurricanes who, they should have beaten the Brisbane Heat the other night down in Hobart. So you're right. The score, it's very, very tight though, which, I think the top 4 or 5 teams, there's not much in it, to be honest. So it's going to be a great finish to the BBL, which has been great again. It really has. The only thing I'll say, and I think I said it in the last pod, was that I reckon that the bottom 3 teams, there's been a big drop-off between those and the top sort of 4 or 5 teams. So, because like the AFL and what a lot of our great competitions are, you need all the teams really, really close, which we've had in the past with a Big Bash, but it's just been a bit disappointing in terms of that. But in terms of crowds and everyone watching, it's brilliant.
Well,
I think we're looking. I reckon we're set up for a really good finish.
What do you put that down to, Blue? Is there signs of just the erosion of domestic cricket, or how do you justify that? It's not like there's 30 teams. I mean, the AFL. How many teams in the AFL?
18.
Just under 18. So there's not like that many teams.
Yeah, I just think it's list management probably more than anything, Haydos. Like you can talk about local talent, but I think just some teams have got it wrong with maybe some overseas selections. I know for the strikers, like I follow them the closest because they're my team, but last season we were really top heavy in our batting and we didn't have enough bowling. I think there's been an overcorrection this year. Our bowling depth is really good, but our batting has just not taken off at all. Like once we get past our top 4, there's just been nothing through the middle overs. So, I just think it's probably down to that, Haydos, more than anything. I think, a few of the teams have just made some list management mistakes.
The other thing, Bluey, I watched last night, not all of it. I watched about an hour probably of the game at Marvel Stadium. Finn Allen, amazing. Some really, really cool BBL hitting in that 100. It's just, there's no other way to sort of politically say it. It's a horrible cricket venue, Marvel. It just is. The games don't look good there. The outfield's, it's like a cow paddock. The ball just stops. I don't know. I've said this many times, and I have a Renegades sort of view, given my past history with them. I would love them to move to the Junction. I'd love them to build temporary stands around that eastern bank and get some marquees and some fun stuff for kids and maybe some restaurant pop-ups and play their games there and make it a proper cricket venue, because I know punters on record are saying if you play cricket at B-grade venues, you get B-grade games. And I love Marvel as an AFL venue, and it's a great rock concert venue, but it's just not a good cricket venue. And last night watching it, I just thought this is just rubbish. We've got to find a better venue for that franchise to play at, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. Haydos is just sitting there like a bloody stunned mullet. I was waiting for him to talk, but is your camera frozen, Haydos? You there or not?
No, I just didn't have much value to add to that comment, Blue. So I thought I'd just let you just take it all away.
Yeah, well, I will. I mean, I totally agree. Like, I've actually covered some games there as well, and it's just a weird vibe as soon as you get there for cricket, I think. The solution, Geelong, I don't think is the solution either, JB. I think you sort of get similar vibes for Big Bash down there, even though it's sort of open air. Relocating to Canberra. Canberra's a good venue for Big Bash, but I think the works are in place for maybe an expansion as well down the track and maybe Canberra getting a team. So,
or Thunder playing more there, which also would make sense.
Yeah.
The Junction is a brilliant cricket ground, and it wouldn't take much to turn it into. It's already got lights, facilities are already there. It wouldn't take much to turn it into, I think, a brilliant boutique-sized BBL ground. You only need 15,000, maximum, because you'll always play the derbies at the G. The rest of the games at the Junction, I think, would work. And I don't know, I put my TV hat on for a second. Get that drone shot up over St Kilda, out over the yacht club to the bay. It'd just be, on those summer evenings.
It's more the capacity, though, isn't it? Because they had the Renegade Stars game there the other night at Marvel, and it was just about packed. They had they had 40,000 in, didn't they? So where's the agreement at?
I don't know. I think they've re-signed, but I don't know for how long. I just say, if you play the Melbourne games at the G, even if it's a home or away, you're going to get the big crowds there. Anyway, not going to die in the ditch over it, but I just watched last night thinking that's interesting article I read, boys, during the week in one of the big papers here in Melbourne, saying, talking tennis, Bluey, saying it's going to be very hard for the Aussie Open to generate the sizzle on the back of what's been an incredible cricket summer. And I thought, you don't read that article very often. In fact, often it's the other way. The tennis comes along at a perfect time because the cricket's been underwhelming, according to journos, etc. And this journo was saying the complete opposite. It was a female journalist too, not that that matters, but not a cricket journalist, basically saying the Aussie Open's going to have to really come out firing because this Ashes summer has just taken all before it, which I thought was a really interesting piece of journalism, Big Doss.
Yeah, well, the Stars, thinking Federer's been gone, for almost 2 years now, but Australian audiences, they really connect with tennis because it is a global tournament. It's a little bit like surfing as well. Like, we don't, as much as surfing is a great sport in our country and there's a lot of participants in it, you don't exactly see it all the time because it gets played all different venues and you have to go sort of searching for it. And tennis, unless you've got those big stars, and we've seen a couple retire in the last few years, that we've really connected to as an audience, then it's tough to really engage. So I suppose it's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding phase for tennis in this country as we see that our superstars start to rise again and we've got that familiarity. Like, I can't think of too many names in this Australian Open, men or women, that I want to go follow. So that's part of the problem.
Oh, the Aussies as well. I mean, Bluey was talking about going and seeing a young Australian girl play in Adelaide, but outside of the Demon, you sort of think of the men's draw. You're like, well, who else are we keeping our eye on? And I am, you both know, a long, long, long way away from being a tennis aficionado. But I just thought it was interesting that this Ashes summer had grabbed a female journalist in Melbourne to the point where she sat down and wrote that article. It just shows you, Bluey, what this summer has done by way of really capturing the Aussie imagination.
Yeah, I mean, the audiences, both at the grounds and then, listening on radio, on TV, streaming, all the, networks out there has been incredible. It really has, which is great for cricket. And I think that it didn't quite get to the heights we wanted it to. It wasn't a close series. England, yes, pinched one test match. We pinched the one in Perth, but it just didn't get to that, from a cricket standpoint, it didn't really get to that, coming down to the last, test 4, test 5. But the interest around it was phenomenal. And it's only going to get better, I think. The Ashes seems to me is just getting more interest. We know that the stuff around it, all the stuff like this, the amount of cricket podcasts and stuff around it, the interest is there, which is brilliant. It really is.
The Bernie question for me has been raised during the week around the validity of the pink ball in your big Ashes series, and maybe you could say the same for the Border Gavaskar Trophy as well. The attention around the flip of just pure cricket interest versus crowd interest. So what we've sort of covered off for the last 2 seasons, in particular with back-to-back fantastic series, is how we're going to move forward with pink ball. Like, we were so happy to see Adelaide Test match, for example, have just a normal game of cricket. The Brisbane copped it this time, and it was a diabolical Test match, from terms of just the result going into the 4th and 5th day. And Smudge got interviewed around it this week, and he didn't pull his punches, which I was really pleased around the fact that he just couldn't see the ball. So he won't be disappointed. He knows that he probably won't be around for the next one. But in an Ashes series, he just said, look, the crowd attendances are there. The audience on television is there. Like, just go back to playing the best type of cricket that we can. And I've got to say, the pink ball raises questions for me as well. If a player is telling you, especially a world-class player like Smith, is saying, I can't see the ball, then the game has got problems.
Only thing I'd say to that, Doss, and I'm not discounting anything Smudge says because of who he is and how measured he is when he speaks. That pink test in Brisbane did provide us with the half hour of the series. That Jofra Archer, Steve Smith confrontation and the cricket around that, for me, gave us the thing I'll remember out of that series more than anything else. Maybe, Jacob Bethel's brilliant 100 at the end, but so it's for me. I know you love the gladiator man in the arena thing. I'd be reluctant to let it go. I know the players don't like it, and I know the reasons why. But from a change up 1 in 5 test thing, that point of difference for one game, I don't know, Bluey. I like it.
I think Cricket Australia will have to do their due diligence around it, because it really is split for me, Haydos. Like, I'm like you. I love the day test matches and what it brings, the red ball cricket. But it's been played here in Adelaide over a long period of time, not this summer, of course. But you ask the members or the people that go to them regularly, and it really is a 50-50 split. Some people love the day-night test matches. Some prefer the day test matches. But it comes back to my point a few weeks ago, it's the stuff around the ball and the colour of the ball, Haydos. I think we can get it better, mate. And from a visual point of view, from watching it on TV, and more importantly, I think from a player point of view, get the colour of the ball right. And I think, it can have its merits.
So you're thinking white ball again, are you?
Yeah.
You're going back to the age old, yep.
Yep. And then you tweak you can tweak the colour of the clothing, possibly, because the big thing is, from an umpire's point of view and from a spectator's point of view, if you say, for example, it is a white ball, you've got a white ball cannoning into a white pad or a white thigh pad or whatever, it's hard to see the visual, right? So there's ways around that. But I think, and the white ball, visually, during the day or at night is the best product. So I think they've got to really look at that.
See, if you didn't have three formats, I wouldn't be putting forward this case, because what I feel is that Test cricket is becoming a lot more like the other two formats of the game, and so, you know, marketing 101 or sales 101 is what's your unique position in terms of what your product. If you don't differentiate your product, then you've got the same product that's across three different shelves, and that's no good. You know, so I guess my thinking or rationale is that you just make Test cricket super traditional. You know, you don't change it up too much. You just allow the game to market itself, and people vote with their feet. Like New Zealand next summer is a 4 Test match series. There's no question that New Zealand will be a competitive team. I expect Australia will win that series as well, but, you know, it's not the Ashes, and it is not the BGT. You know, so the game actually, just by the fact that it doesn't have that depth of quality Test nations that are playing in and around the top 3, and South Africa you get add in there as number 4 as well. It's just it struggles in that way because it's trying to promote something which is not different enough to the other formats. So if you kind of go white ball, change of clothing, then that's sort of like glorified one-day cricket, and they're kind of playing that anyway, right, in Test match cricket. So I just think keep it simple with the two formats of the game, which are super lucrative to our sport: Test cricket and T20 cricket.
Moving on, a nice segue actually into spin bowling and its future, which I'm really worried about. And I'm going to argue against myself here because the pink ball test often sees Australia go in without Nathan Lyon, the greatest finger spin bowler we've ever produced. But it worries me. It worried me in Sydney. It worries me that no spinner from either team was picked at that venue for the first time in 150 years or whatever the hell it was. And it also worries me that as soon as the toss happens and the teams are handed over, the first thing the captain comes out with is the pitch. We're not picking a spinner because of the pitch. And I'm like, again, we go back to why are we creating pitches where you don't want to pick a spinner? I don't understand. And what worries me with this, Bluey, is that the end always justifies the means. So Australia win the Test match, they just turn straight around and say, see, we didn't need a spinner. And I'm like, I don't agree with that.
No.
I want to see Australia pick a spinner in all the Test matches. I want to see spinners playing Shield cricket. I don't want pitches that are that green that Shield teams go in with a bland 4 medium fast bowling attack and they never bowl the overs and all the problems that come with it. I mean, my issue in Sydney watching the Australian team in the field was that we kept running up with the same bowler, except for Starkey, who was left arm over and is extraordinary. We've covered him off. It really worries me, especially the younger people in cricket turning around and going, well, why would you pick a spinner? You know what I mean? That it seems to have seeped into our psyche now that we don't need one. And that really concerns me. The great SK would be sitting up above us listening to this pod going, go hard, boys. This is a disgrace. And it's worrying me, Bluey.
Yeah, no, and I could hear Warney during that SCG Test match going the whole. Imagine if he was at that Test match commentating. There would have been like a broken record every day. Why? What the hell is going on here? And to be fair, and I know what you're saying, the Australian team will say, "Hang on, well, we won the Test match." But can you imagine if Australia were bowling on the 5th day and England were 350 runs in front or whatever like that, and we didn't play a Shane Warne or a Nathan Lyon who couldn't play, but it was an absolute nightmare, really, wasn't it? Because of the foot marks and that, it was spitting and but in terms of, it's definitely pitch reliant. Like if you take the SCG pitch away, and I do agree with you guys that we should have played a spinner in that Test match, but the other venues, there's a great argument for what Stephen Smith has been saying. Why would we play a spinner? Because we can get the job done in a lot less time with out-and-out quick bowlers or seamers. So, I mean, I keep looking back at some, they're always coming up in whether it's on Channel 7 or other broadcasters, some old vision of some old Test matches. And even when Haydos was slaying them at the Gabba, what year was the infamous toss when Nasser Hussain bowled first? Haydos?
That was 2002.
2002. If you
Yeah.
look at the highlights of that, Bray, on day one, that pitch at the Gabba is bone dry. It's brown in colour. Now, you can't tell me that any of the venues around Australia have changed since then. So we've definitely got to. I think it's been a bit of a line in the sand moment, and this has been building up for a few years now. I think there'll be a correction back to producing harder, drier pitches in Australia.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
good.
that's a
And
good
in field
segue
cricket
to.
as well.
Yeah, so that's a segue for me, JB, into the root of the problem here is the wicket. Provide decent wickets and spin comes into play. What I'm thinking, though, is take that another step forward. And I don't like to see this at the highest format of the game. I think you want to see your best athletes competing and making independent decisions, and therefore they get the results right or wrong, and they can be accountable to those decisions. So win the toss, bat on a really good wicket like the one Blue mentioned in 2-2-2-3 against England. Big mistake from Nasser to not actually have a bat on that track. But for me, maybe you go, look, in club cricket, in club land, and in first class land, Cricket Australia pays a game development. That's the whole ecosystem in which is the rise and fall of Australian cricketers through the generations to wearing the baggy green. So you say to those guys and those clubs, those states, it is mandatory that you pick a spinner. Now, if you do that, the captains and the coaches will go to the groundsman and say, this is something that we've now got to contend with. So we've got to provide good tracks, that do a little bit on the first day and a half and then turn into wickets which our slow bowlers can start to make a stake in and just make it a little bit more, put a bit more pressure on those levels who seem to be going, JB, in a way that's producing really green wickets. You hear the modern players like Finchy talking about how much the Shield wickets do and so forth. Just make them good tracks. That's the base root of the problem. Then your spinner will definitely come into play. And also maybe you say, look, your over rate is now such a really significant part of how it is that we're adjudicating the success of grade and first class cricket. If you get that stuff wrong, you lose points. Or you have some sort of sanctions, and then captains are forced to bring slower bowlers with quicker over rates into play.
Well, and the over rates at test level are horrendous anyway. But
Horrendous.
in Sydney with no spinner, it was, that 6-7 down. I mean, but from an entertainment point of view, from a traditionalist watching the game, when I just see medium pacers run in for 6 hours, it bores the living shit out of me. Whereas when you get that happening or that happening and a captain's got to work a field and you got to work a batsman over and work the angles, and that for me is what fascinates me in the middle of a day 3 session. And I can't stand the thought of long form cricket in this country with spin bowling not a part of it.
Well, that's why Haydos and you work a lot extensively in Asia and particularly in India. And when you get a turning track over there, from a spectator point of view, it is just fascinating to watch. It really is. And then when a cricket bowler comes on, you're like, oh God, here we go again. Like, a little bit of reverse swing, but it's not as suited. But when you get those contests when you got spin and there's people around the bat, it is enthralling to watch. Anyway, for me, but yeah, we've definitely missed that this summer.
Well,
just one element to that, Bluey, is that you think of someone like Mitchell Starc, who could well have gone through his career and not being able to bowl the variation that he now has in his arsenal on really good flat tracks. So he's become, talking of India, he's become a lethal warrior in the subcontinent as well because of his cross seam deliveries, his wobble seam that find hitters in all sorts of trouble. So, there's probably a couple of sides to this, is that you want your fast bowlers to understand what reverse swing looks like. You want them to have the variation in their arsenal that makes them extend their game. You don't want them rocking up, and bowling like Scotty Boland did, as brilliant as he was in the MCG Test match on debut, the wicket was going sideways. So you don't want that type of performance dominating the Test landscape. They need to think about how they're going to go about trying to get through their game. And the flip side of that is, of course, batters. You want technically sound batters to be able to get through little phases. But I'd be really disappointed if we see, moving forward in Test cricket, seeing such movement, like we saw in Perth and etc. Like it was just too much this summer again.
Well, I had a chat to Mike Atherton out the back in Sydney just while we were having lunch, and he was talking Blewy about what a fine bowler Tim May was, and he was. And I said to him, for me, looking back, we didn't play Warne and May in the same side often enough. They had that series in England where they both played and were magnificent. But I said to him, Athers, here's you and I having that discussion. This game hasn't even got a spinner in it for either team. That's how far we've come. We're talking about picking two in the same team. We haven't even got one playing in this game. Need to move on because I got a plane to catch. Thoughts quickly with Harry Dixon. Haz is a good mate of my third son, George. Got hit in the neck last night playing in that game. Had to retire hurt. I understand that he's going okay, but he's a good boy, Haz. So just make sure that you're okay, please, because we don't want batsmen hurt in any form of the game. Now, radar time. I've got quite a boring technical radar today, which I'm disappointed with. I'm disappointed with it, but I'm going with it.
Righto.
Now, Blewy, you and I did a game the other night in Adelaide, BBL game, where Aaron Hardy, I think it was, nicked one onto his pads, went through for a single, was given out LBW, and automatically the ball was called dead. Then it was reviewed, clearly hit it, but they didn't get a single for it. What worries me with that, and this is a game conditions thing rather than a laws of the game thing, if you do that late in the game, nick one onto your pads, goes down to fine leg for 4, appeal given out, ended upstairs, and it shows that you hit it so you're not out, you don't get the 4 runs. And we all know that in a tight game, that can be enormous. So for me, for Dobbo and the guys running the BBL, I just think we need to do it. We change the conditions of the game so that if that happens, the runs go onto your tally, because it could be very costly and at the same time embarrassing if that happens in a big final.
Okay, right.
Anyway, boring technical radar, but that's my radar. Blewy?
Very, very dull.
We haven't discussed the designated hitter and the designated fielder as well that's coming in for next year. JB,
Are you radaring that?
No, I'm not radaring that because...
I was going to say, because that's next year, so we'll worry about that next year. Right,
no.
Okay.
Well, so for our audience, if you didn't catch up on last week's pod, at the conclusion of the Test match in Sydney, we went round to Simon Kadich's place for a bit of a cook-up. He cooked up a storm, and it was a bloody great way to finish off the summer. But Haydos, I failed to mention towards the end of the night, we're all sitting there and the tunes are happening, and Cato's going through his Spotify and he's taking requests. So we're all, at this stage, it's probably about 11 p.m. and we're all having a bit of a sing-along and having a great night.
Quite fluid.
Yeah, a little bit. Bray was hogging all the wine as he normally does.
Of course I was. Someone wasn't moving, so I was pouring
Stuart
wine.
Broad was there. He was going to go through the whole night, Haydos, and go straight onto the plane. So I gather he's got home all right. But we're all having a great night, and the tunes are happening. And then this tune comes on, and it's a little bit different from what we were listening to. And Bray gives it get this shit off. What is that? And then I look over to Broady, and Broady's having a little bop along, and he goes, hang on, that's my wife.
Yes, the Saturdays.
What? So Stewie's married Molly from the Saturdays, which was like a girl band. So he's absolutely rinsed. Like, I can see Broady's having a bit of a...
completely incorrect, by the way.
Bray said, get this shit off and move on.
Incorrect.
And now, he tried to, like he is now, he's trying to smooth it all over.
Yeah.
And then about half an hour later, we're all having a bit of a bop along. Another song comes on. What's this shit? It was another one of Broady's wife's songs.
Oh, no.
Twice.
Did you
I'll
know?
tell you why
Twice.
it's rubbish, because I think it was Ali Mitchell he said, give me the phone, I'll get some of Broady's wife's music up. So I knew
No.
it was a Saturday
So
song.
why did
and
you
I was not
embarrass
saying any
him
of that.
in front of all of us?
No, that is completely incorrect. That's the wine altering your
No.
memory of what actually happened. That's
Nope.
what that is.
Get
That's
this
you.
shit off, he said.
No, never once did I say that. That is completely
Was it any
incorrect.
good, though? Was it any good?
Not great.
Just for the
Oh, it was-
record.
yeah, it was all right.
No, it's a
Bopping
girl
along.
band.
Anything
so
was
it's,
good at that stage,
Right.
Haydos.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly
it
right.
all
No,
sounds good.
At least
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah,
embarrass our guest.
Have a listen to him. That is completely made up, by the way, for anyone
No,
who's in any doubt
Not
as to whether that actually
one
happened.
bit of mayo.
Now, go on, Big Doss. What's on your radar?
Well, if I can just digress for a second,
Mhm.
I've had Glenn and Sarah and Madeline, their beautiful daughter, over to Stradbroke. And at the back end of our last podcast, I said I was going to catch mackerel. And that's exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
saw
I got a
that.
nice 13 kilo Spanish mackerel off the coast here. So what was on my radar with Pidgey and Glenn and Sarah, and Madeline, was a big cook up. We did lots of diving off the front as well, which was absolutely fabulous.
Stupid, given how many
And look, after Simo passed Blue, we got together and Warney passed, and we said, you know what, we're gonna, every opportunity that we get now from this time on, whether it be as a group or individually, but hopefully collectively, we're just going to spend more time together. So that's exactly what we did. Sitting down the front, nice single malt, big stogie, full of fish, full of just absolutely rotting dead fish stories from McGrath as well about how bloody good he was and is. Just celebrating, what was a fabulous week in Sydney, with the breaking all sorts of records for the McGrath Foundation, raising just an absolute truckload of money. The bloke, fair dinkum, he is something else off the field. Even just sort of seeing him over the last few days, talking about how proud he is about the foundation. It was one of the bloody great, last couple of days. So, but my radar is the World Cup.
Oh.
T20 World Cup. It's coming along, fellas. We've got, just under a month now before it starts to take shape in Sri Lanka and India, who, of course, are hosting the tournament. Australia play their first 4 matches of the first group stage in Sri Lanka, in Colombo and up in Kandy at Pallekele Stadium. I'm just really looking forward to seeing who and how we go about our cricket over the next, month in that tournament as we wind out of the Big Bash League and the brilliant Ashes summer. So on my radar is starting to book flights and get myself into that sort of headspace of broadcasting for the ICC and getting amongst that T20 World Cup.
Nice.
All right, well, I'm finishing on this radar, and that is, Hayden, get your tech sorted. You're on a phone at the moment. And I'm now going to miss my plane because it took 20 minutes to get your bloody setup sorted.
No,
So,
I don't know what happened. It was working perfectly. I hate tech, I got to say. Hate it. But the good thing is, is this working?
It's working. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to, time will tell. We're going to have to, Irish is going to have to chop it up.
If time does tell, and there's a green tick beside it, I get the feeling that during the IPL there could be quite a lot of this going on.
Phone work.
yeah, a lot of phone work. Correct. Yeah. So hopefully it's working, and our fans and audiences are happy because it's worked pretty decent.
Just
for
in
me
terms of the tech,
anyway.
before you go, Bray, I noticed one of the comments because when my stuff's uploaded from my iPad, I've got a lisp, like the Kenny Cannon lisp. And one of the comments the other day was, and Bluey's come straight from the dentist. So it was like I was still, anaesthetised. Well,
needle.
Well, Bluey, that was where I was going next. You can fix yours up too. Like you sound, I don't know what's going on with it.
What operation are we running here?
Stuck between your teeth. What are we
Pimple
doing here?
Clam coming down the
Just 3 old farts.
Every horse with an F in its name.
With NFI.
You think she's a fed up? Anyway, enjoy the island, Big Doss. Bluey, I'll see you in Sydney. But everyone, this has been All Over Bar, the cricket. Make sure you listen wherever you get your podcasts. Join us on Instagram. You can be a part of the family there. And on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you can watch this show live. We will see you next week. But I've enjoyed it, boys. Well done.
Gone for it. It'll be 2, that'll be 100 for sure. What a magnificent effort by Greg Blewett.
Make that 100. Sensational century from James Brayshaw.
And that's it. That's a great shot. Up go the arms.